One deal can change everything. One acquisition can change your whole financial landscape. Get this right, everything else works thereafter. Everyone selling a business puts their best foot forward. They will exaggerate, they will not mention, they lie by omission. They just don't tell you the stuff that they don't think that you want to hear. So during diligence, when you start to get closer to the reality, not 100% all the way to reality, that happens once you own the business, but you get closer to reality, what starts to happen is that the deal changes. Now, it might mean that you withdraw completely, which is quite extreme, but usually it's a price negotiation, a terms renegotiation, or a working capital renegotiation. You just need more cash in the business. The majority of leads are always going to fall into the time waster, poor quality. They always are. But you only need a minority to make it work. And with business acquisition, one deal can change everything. One acquisition can change your whole financial landscape. So don't be concerned that you're speaking to people who fall into that category of, yeah, the business is too small, it's too dependent upon the owner. It's, they were just tire kicking. They were trying to find out what I was doing. That will always happen. You never eliminate that. It's just you work through it faster. What I would also say is when you've got more experience, you spot deals that you may not have spotted as a beginner, if you like, if someone at the start of the journey. I would say that the most savvy business buyers that I work with consider a commercial property portfolio alongside the business portfolio. So they buy a business that has real estate, split it out, and then they've got their business portfolio that is the cash generating, pays for the holidays, has the cash flow to it. And then they've got the commercial property portfolio that is the long-term capital appreciation play. So that's this is the inheritance, children, the grandchildren. You know, this is what is the game changer long-term. But then the business, because businesses come and go. I mean, businesses don't last forever. New technology, changes in the market, the economy, things like that. So we've got to be prepared that just because you own a business, that business may not even exist in 5 years' time. So you've got to make the most of it while you own it. So that's why it's got to produce cash, which is why turnarounds are just so difficult, because we'll talk about turnarounds later, but I'm very against turnarounds. But buying these cash generative businesses and the commercial property, you can then build up this asset that regardless of what happens with the business, you've always got the property. What I always say is that you are the average of the 5 people that you spend the most time with. So if you think of the 5 people that you spend the most time with, if they are ambitious people going places, then you level up to being an ambitious person who's going places. If they're negative people who are always telling you that it won't work, stop dreaming, get back to reality, get yourself a proper job, all of those things, then that drags you back as well. And it's quite a sobering thought to think, who do I spend the most time with? Whose attitude rubs off on me? So when people come to our workshops in the UK and you're in a room with, let's say, 100 people who are in the majority positive, optimistic, action-orientated people, and you find those people and you have lunch with them and then you go out for dinner with them afterwards, it starts to become part of you. And also when you see other people doing things that you want to do, you think, well, if they could do it, I can do it as well. And that can be a turning point for many people. You're watching this video because you've got some level of interest in buying a business. That's great. Let's get you started. I've got something brand new. It's free of charge. It's called the Business Buying Toolkit, and there's a link to get it in the video description below. First of all, you need to talk to the owner. You don't want to be talking to a manager. Sometimes as the company gets larger, they have a CFO, a Chief Financial Officer, and they might instruct their CFO to have a conversation with you. Now, you've got to play it by ear a little bit. So you could just do a straight no, I only speak to owners. But it's slightly confrontational, to be fair, and maybe not the best start to what is a relationship that could last several months, and a relationship that you actually want to continue after you've bought the business. So you want a good relationship with the owner. So to actually say to them, no, I'm only speaking to you, is like, I don't know. They want you to speak to their CFO for a reason. Sometimes they don't feel confident talking about the business, or they don't understand the numbers, or they're just not good with numbers, and they feel as though you might interrogate them. You know, it could be like Dragon's Den, and they can be asked lots of questions, and they look foolish. They don't know the answers. So I would speak to the CFO in those circumstances, but at a very high level. And what you want the CFO to do is to go straight from that conversation to report back to the boss, which they will do. That's the next phone call they're going to make. They're going to make the call to their boss and say, you know, I was speaking to David, and I've just spoken to David, and you know what? I like the guy, and he really makes sense. Yeah, I think he's serious. Yeah, I think he can do this. That is what you want them to say, because if you think about it, what is the only thing they want is that you seem fair and reasonable. They don't want someone who's going to take advantage of them. They're trying to sniff that out. Someone who's fair and reasonable, but also someone who can get a deal done, because they're trying to find out whether you're a time waster. So maybe the owner is just busy, like owners of businesses tend to be, and they say, well, look, you speak to him first and just sound him out and see what he's like. So you've got to come across as credible, and this means that you need to come across as the real deal. It doesn't mean you have to have lots of experience, because everyone has to start somewhere, and everyone is a first-time buyer at some point. Everyone starts from zero, right? So it's about putting your best foot forward and having a 60-second introduction to yourself that makes someone go, okay, I get this. I understand who this person is. So that's where you leverage your work experience, life experience, your career, anything that has some sort of link to the type of business that you're talking to. And if you can't find anything that links to the sort of business that you're talking to, then you say so. You say, I don't have any background in the sector whatsoever. But I'm putting together an advisory team that have a very deep background in this sector, because I'm not going to be the person running the business. I'm going to have a combination of your team, the team of the business that I end up buying, and my own team running the business. It's not going to be me on a day-to-day basis. I'm interrupting this video to tell you about my most amazing lawyer. His name is John Andrews. You need an outstanding lawyer to get your deal done, so why don't you use mine? His details are on the screen. When you've reached heads of terms, send him a message and he'll be able to help you get the deal done. What I'm describing to you isn't easy. It takes time to get into this mindset, but once you've got it, you've got it. So I'll give you a couple of examples. If you check out my YouTube channel from about 2 weeks ago, I put an interview on there with a client, Martin, in fact, actually it's an interview from like 2 years ago, but we'd never used it. And we just edited it up, and it's like a 15-minute interview. And listen to the way he talks to the owners of businesses. Because if you can talk like Martin, and Martin learnt it from me, but he does it really well, okay? If you can talk like Martin to the owners of businesses, then you will find that so many of these other issues are non-issues because you've got the power dynamic right. If your deal flow gives you the ability to have lots of conversations, and I think to a certain extent, you could even do this with poor deal flow. It's really good to speak to you, David. I'd love to hear all about your business. Just to let you know, usually people schedule appointments with me, and this is just a scheduling conversation, but I've got about 15 minutes before my next scheduled call with an owner who's in the same position as you, who wants to sell. So do you think you could tell me enough about the business to interest me in the next 15 minutes? So it's a complete switch of, I'm not here to justify myself You are here to justify yourself to me. Now, what I also know when I'm teaching this is that I get a bit of pushback from people saying, well, I'm not sure if that's really a very sort of nice thing to do, or I'm not sure if that's the right attitude. No, unfortunately, it is exactly the right attitude. Get this right, everything else works thereafter. Get it wrong, and it's always going to be a bit of a struggle.